Coming up today on Bridges, you will get to meet Eric, who I call an overachiever, and Kelsey, who is a humble powerhouse, and Lyle Haywood, the trainer who's helping them both do more than the doctors ever thought possible. Welcome to Bridges. I'm Monica Schmelter, and I'm so glad that you could join us today. My guest is Lyle Haywood, and Lyle, it's so good to have you on Bridges today.
Good to be here.
So we've got a lot to talk about that's just really valuable today. You're going to help us to meet two people that you work with that are just really, really hard workers. So let's start first, Lyle, with your work. As I understand it, you're a trainer with special population. What does that mean?
So special populations trainer, I mean, the title I kind of chose, I work with people that would be considered in a special population. So that would be people who have a level of paraplegia, any kind of debilitating injury, stroke survivors, CP, Down syndrome, anything that's just outside the realm of a normal population with an injury, such as, you know, somebody without a spinal cord injury, things like that.
Yeah, things that would be really challenging to anybody. And I know that a couple of the people we're going to meet with that you're helping to work out with at Beyond Aquatics in Murfreesboro, both, as I understand it, had spinal cord injuries. Is that right?
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit before we meet them and watch you work out with them at Beyond Aquatics. A spinal cord injury, I think most people have heard that, but many times when people say that it's complete, that just means basically that they're confined to a wheelchair forever. Is that right?
That's usually the assumption.
And how are you helping to change that? How is work changing in that way?
We use a training protocol that, you know, can help simulate walking patterns and standing patterns at Beyond Aquatics. At Beyond Aquatics, we use a warm water pool with mechanized treadmills underwater. So the warm water is great for keeping the muscles loose, and it helps the communication from the brain to the body whenever they're training. These training protocols I learned at Middle Tennessee State University, where I had gotten my degree, and we just transferred over there to Beyond Aquatics using those same training protocols. Yeah,
and I want us to talk about some of those training protocols and your work there, but what drew you to that work? Because I remember meeting you as a fitness trainer, an instructor at Gold's Gym. What drew you to working with special populations?
Well, actually, you know, but it was before I became an instructor. You know, my last semester, maybe back to my last year, I did research at MTSU with spinal cord injury clients specifically, where we had training protocol A, and, you know, client A, B, C, D, E, and we tried that same protocol on different, you know, clients, but it was all for research. It was all to see, you know, does this protocol help spinal cord injury level T5 versus T1 and independent steps. It was all just about numbers and collecting data. But we were realizing that the training protocols were actually helping them, you know, gain ability in walking and standing. And I found more interest in doing the training aspect to help them at that point. So I kind of, you know, fell in love with it from there, but never found a place where I could actually do it. So a few years, you know, wind the clocks forward a few years, and Beyond Aquatics opens. At the time, right when they first opened, I wasn't ready to dive into it because I was, you know, pretty busy with other jobs. But about a year after they opened up, got on it, and it's kind of how I fell right back into it.
Wow. So you had that interest at MTSU, but it was research, and you were just seeing kind of what works with people with spinal cord injuries and what doesn't work, and recording that, and then fast forward a few years and you found yourself in it.
Yep.
How does your faith in God play a role?
Big time. I mean, it's think about when I was, you know, doing the research, you know, I did not dive into faith at the time. And I just thought intuition, maybe it was just some kind of moral obligation that I thought to myself, like, oh man, I have the ability to help somebody, you know, in this population, you know, get better. Yeah. I'm morally obligated to do that. But wind the clocks forward again, 2016, you know, summertime, I had, you know, discovered a church, ended up, you know, falling in love with that church, and I realized that what I thought was moral obligation ended up being a spiritual calling. Yeah. And then that's what I really believe deep down inside. And with these clients who also, believe in God, you kind of can see it coming out, and it's like, okay, I see where this is going. I see why this is happening. I can see why I'm truly drawn to this. It's not just my own moral obligation. I truly believe that it's, God's work.
Absolutely. Because, the Bible says that every good and perfect gift comes from the Lord. And so I think a lot of times when somebody's doesn't believe just yet, or they don't have faith just yet, they might think, Lyle, like you, this is just moral obligation. This is just a good thing for me to do because I want to be a good person. But it's actually the beginnings of us realizing that God's working in our heart to help us realize what He's put there all along. I'd love for us to talk a little bit about your work there. And Eric, one of the people, that when I came out to Beyond Aquatics to watch you work out with him, the whole team came here. Let's talk a little bit about how you met him, his injury, and kind of the difference, that your work and Beyond Aquatics work is making in his life.
Yeah. Eric, I met him summer of 2016. He at the time had been injured for just under 5 years. He was a T12L1 complete, so that's, the top of your lumbar spine and the bottom of your thoracic spine. That's where the injury area is that left him paralyzed from the waist down, but completely. So no feeling, no sensation. You could do any kind of test there, you wouldn't have anything. He had heard about me from my training with Kelsey at the time, and wanted to schedule an appointment. We started training, and from there we learned what he was doing at home. And I wanted to see, okay, well, if you're teaching yourself how to crawl at home and working on balancing yourself on your hands and knees, let's see how we can translate that in the water. So we did a lot of standing and balancing exercises that would kind of engage his core. I kind of went with the method of what is he doing at home? What is he doing with physical therapy, which at the time he wasn't doing any physical therapy, and how can we put it all together to make him a better walker, stander, athlete overall? And we kind of started right there. Yeah.
And, when I met Eric, and you all will get to meet Eric, in a little bit, he's an amazing person. In fact, you and I talked about, we thought we should just call him overachiever because he's just, he's just all in. He's happy, smiley. I'm going to walk again. I believe in God. I mean, just the things, as I watched him, Lyle, I thought, oh my goodness, Monica, you make such a big deal about such little things. Yep. And here's this overachieving man with a wife and kids who's just saying, I'm not going to give up.
That's right.
How does that affect you as a trainer?
It really gives me a lot of hope, because, we quite often, everyone in the world will be, you get a paper cut, you're instantly like, man, I got to get this off my hand. Something so small. And to work with somebody who's got something that I can't even fathom, experiencing, and to watch him be so thankful about it all, and to be so positive about it and say, hey, I gave it to God, and we're going to make it work. And we're in a microwave society right now.
We are.
And training spinal cord, it's definitely a slow cook. Yeah. And it just makes me thankful, makes me really hopeful, and it resonates with other jobs that I do in the fitness industry. And honestly, I think it just overall, it just adds to the foundation of, we're in the right spot right now. Yeah, so.
Because really, you are working in the midst of miracles. And I mean, it's taking hard work, but yet I can sense God's presence there, and people are pushing themselves and believing and just working so hard. What would you say to someone, Lyle, that's watching right now that, they might just be in a really tough season? Maybe it's not even a spinal cord injury, but it's a tough season. And sometimes we get to those places in life and we just feel like, man, I can't move forward. What would you say to them?
God will always put you on a mountain, and sometimes it's about embracing the entire journey rather than getting right to the peak. We all want to have a quick ending to a little bit of suffering and a little bit of a challenge.
We do.
And understand that God will always, whether or not you're seeing it from the view of how God is working in your life, either way, there's a reason for the season. You're in there for something, and your patience is going to bear fruit to something good. Understand that it's okay to be right where you are.
Yeah.
And accept right where you are. Because as long as you put your faith in the right spot, it'll all work out.
That's right. There's a lot to be said for gracious acceptance of where we are. It doesn't stop us from moving forward, but we realize that God's still at work there. I want us to go ahead and meet Eric and Kelsey, so we want you to stay with us so you can meet Lyle working with Eric and Kelsey. Let me ask you, Eric, first, tell us first a little bit about yourself.
My name is Eric Murray, and I'm 37 years old. I have 2 daughters, and I'm married, and I own my own airfield to business company.
I'm 20, been in a wheelchair for 2.5 years. Used to ride horses, softball. Now I work full-time.
The accident happened on December 23rd, 11-something at night.
I had a car wreck on Valentine's Day of 2015.
I was on a back road with a friend of mine. I was a passenger in the car, going around the curve, and the top right tire got caught on the side. And when the driver tried to correct it, the car flipped 5 to 6 times. It pinned me in the car upside down, and my legs were pinned on the side of my head. So it folded me in half. Started praying, asking God to please let me make it through. I had 2 daughters that I would, need to take care of, love to see grow up.
I broke T12 and L1 vertebrae, shattered. The fragments was embedded in my spinal cord.
How did you come here to Beyond Aquatics and work out here for a while and meet Lyle?
Well, after doing some research and going to another rehab facility, they kind of released me because there was nothing more that they could do. So then that's when I started looking at other options, came across Beyond Aquatics.
We got told about him, said he was somebody to go to for spinal cord injury.
Came out here, done a couple of water therapy sessions, and got hooked up with Lyle, and we've been running strong ever since.
We see many things. A lot of people that want to get out of pain, or they want to exercise, or they want to do physical therapy, they come here and they're expecting, oh, I'm gonna have an okay workout. But when they get in the warm water, the chairlift, the easy access stairs, the underwater treadmills, it just opens their eyes to a whole new life. And we've gotten people off of wheelchairs and walkers. Mainly what we're here to do is help people improve their health.
Worked with Eric. We even did some overground work, trying to get his core active. In a spinal cord injury, the communication from the brain to the body is just not the same as it is without the injury. And with the idea of like a muscle memory type of training protocol, where if we go through repetition after repetition, the same movement, even if it means just getting 1 foot up, 1 foot down, making contact with the floor, it could take 20 steps, it could take 200,000 steps for his brain to understand, okay, this is what needs to be happening, and I'm gonna control it myself. So warm water therapy, warm water training works really well with spinal cord injury clients.
Squeeze, 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 squeeze.
At the time, I think we were, assessing both of her legs, and I think it was the right leg that was less functional than the left leg. Like if you were to give her a percentage on her left leg, I mean, maybe an 80. Like she could lift it up pretty well. She could generally move it throughout different ranges of motion and different exercises. Just the efficiency wasn't like explosive. Whereas the right leg, it was very buoyant in the water. So if we got in the water and I would say, go ahead and lift your right leg and stomp down, it would essentially just float. We weren't able to, I was like, come on, Kelsey. And just like, she's like, I'm doing it. I'm like, okay, we'll work with you. And that's kind of how it started. And in terms of the training, the goal was to be able to get her to, independently step her leg down and keep her heel down. Because the main goal was to get her walking again. Good deal, good deal. So how your position?
Probably the first 2 weeks, I was just drained. I was give out. But after that, I had more energy. I felt better. I had better circulation. I was moving better, more flexible.
In the beginning, lift your leg up after 1 month of training, put it down, nothing would happen. At month 3, it was lift your leg up, put it down, oh, look, you just dropped your leg about, half a foot. That's amazing. After another 3 months, another 2 months, lift your leg, put it down, your toes at the treadmill. From my side, I'm thinking, okay, clearly the communication from the brain to the body is improved.
It affects me tremendously. From the time I walk in to the time I leave, I mean, it gives me that more that I will walk again soon.
I'm fixing to start riding horses again. I used to barrel race, and that's definitely one aspect of my life that I do miss, that I want to get back to, if at all possible. So I'm going to try to work towards that.
But what keeps you motivated is being able to do and achieve what doctors told me I would do. Coming out of Vanderbilt, I was labeled as complete, which means never walking again. And it just motivates me to continue to come here and continue to give it all that I have in order to walk again and prove my doctor wrong, like I told him I would when he labeled me complete.
You can purchase a copy of today's show for $15. Call us at 615-754-0039 or send a check to the address on the screen. Please mention the program number on the screen.
Log on to www.ctntv.org, where you can make a prayer request, view our program guide, see who's on bridges, or even watch one of Monica's latest teachings. Log on to www.ctntv.org.
Well, you just got a chance to meet Eric and Kelsey as they work out with trainer Lyle Haywood at Beyond Aquatics in Murfreesboro. And if that didn't inspire you, I really don't know what would. I mean, Lyle, when I look at that, and even when I was there and the team were there at WHTN at Beyond Aquatics, we were blown away at how hard people are willing to work, and just the great amount of effort that you put into those workouts. Let's talk about some of the workouts, that you did with them just to help them along their way.
Yeah, with every client, it's a different protocol that we use.
And when you say protocol, does that mean like a different kind of workout?
Yeah, different protocol, different workout, different method, different way of going about how to get the person better. So for Eric, for example, like if we were to compare their training workouts, Eric is doing more floor work, trying to move his leg unilaterally, bilaterally, legs together at the same time, and he's spending more time getting his core engaged. That's going to help him stand up more upright. So posture is a big thing with Eric. Whereas Kelsey, for hers, we would focus more on the water and getting her heel down for when we're doing some standing and walking. So those are just some differences in the workouts that they do.
Yeah, and one of the things that struck me when I was there, and I told you I call Eric, the overachiever. Just in every way, physically and spiritually, he's just an overachiever. And Kelsey, she was kind of shy, but I kind of thought of her as like a humble powerhouse kind of girl. Yeah. She's shy, but she was working hard. Yeah. And there was a moment, Lyle, that you were working with her on the stairs of is it called a warm water pool? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
And she just raised her hands up and she was standing. And I just thought, what a moment for her, and like, what a moment for me to see somebody work so hard after they were really not given a lot of hope with the car accident that she had.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite often you'll see different clients come in and say, hey, I came to training and I've been led to believe that I'm not going to be able to move my leg again or walk again or do anything. And for this example, for Kelsey to be able to freely raise her hands and just stand even for a split second, that's something way beyond our imagination from the initial point of that injury and the accident. And I mean, every little success counts, every little victory counts.
Well, absolutely, and every ounce of independence. As I understand it, both Eric and Kelsey drive. And they use is it the hand controls that they use?
Yep, we have a hand control. It's like I believe it's a pull-push mechanism. I should have taken a picture of it, but.
Yeah, well, I wish that we would have gotten a look at it when we did the interview too, but there was so much going on, we didn't get a chance to do that. But, you know, I think for both of them, having been involved and injured in the course of car accidents, to be able to take that independence back again.
Yep.
And get in that car and drive. And how does that affect you as a person and as a trainer to see people that will just fight that hard?
I mean, it's a beautiful thing to see for sure. You know, like as I said before, everyone is in their own world, and we all have our own seasons, and it's hard to compare one to the next person's, but to see them go through what they've gone through, and then to see them progress to where they are today compared to from when we met, it's just like it's something I can't, you know, words can't explain. And to see how they are so positive about everything all the time, and they're still hungry to do things even beyond what we started our goals with. Like Kelsey, she wants to get back on the horses and do the stunt horses, the thing, I forgot what it's called, but.
Is it barrel racing? It's barrel racing.
So yeah, something I wouldn't do, but she's all about it, and I love that. And I'm like, you know, to have that headspace, it's a great
amazing.
thing.
Like when she used that term to me, barrel racing, I said, Kelsey, what is that? So she starts looking on her phone and bringing this up, and I'm like, I wouldn't try that in a million years. But she just had this big old smile, and she's like, I've been doing that. You know, I've been around horses. I've been doing that since I was 2 years old. And for me to look at a beautiful 20-year-old girl say, you know, I want to be able to do that again. Oh, Lyle, it said all kinds of things to me about all the things I'm afraid of.
Yeah. They have no fear. You know, it's as if, I mean, you talk to them on the phone, you wouldn't tell. You couldn't tell that there was something that tragic that happened, and the headspace that they have is very inspiring for me to even to see, because it resonates with jobs, even just friendship relationships that I have with other people.
Yes.
And it makes me want to become a better leader in the things that I lead. And to have that kind of positive attitude. Not every day's perfect.
Of course.
But you understand, you know, the foundation of it all. As long as your heart's in the right spot.
Yeah.
It matters the most.
And that's what's really most important for any one of us, you know, whether it's spinal cord injury, fighting against insecurity, trying to lose weight, whatever it is, that our heart is in the right place. And everything else just sort of takes its proper place. Now, you mentioned, we talked about special populations, you know, can be all different kinds of challenges that people are working through. What kinds of things can you help people with at Beyond Aquatics?
So special populations, I'll give an example. Lucas, you know, he's a baby with Down syndrome. He's just a little over 1. He, for him, he needed to gain strength in his upper and lower body. So the training protocol that we did with him was, it would be, you know, his mother, April, she would carry him in the water, and I would work on doing flutter kicks, like swimming for his legs, to help his quads and hamstrings get stronger. Because I'm doing the work for his legs, but his brain to the body connection understands that this is happening. And I think it took, you know, maybe a month or 2 before he started doing independent kicks on his own for that, you know, connection to happen. And then in turn, when they get him checked out to see how strong he is, it's like, oh, he's had an increase in strength because of what his body's been doing in the water. So
that's awesome.
There's like one example.
A little baby.
Yeah, call him Super Lucas. Cutest kid ever. He's got a girlfriend, Hannah, and a buddy, Cohen.
He's got a girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
How do you mean his girlfriend, Hannah?
Oh yeah, Hannah, another, you know, Down syndrome baby. She just turned 1. And very similar. Just it's all about building up strength in that sense. Sometimes we'll put the toys in the pool, and they'll have to reach for it, and that'll help them get their upper body strength going, having to reach within reach. And in terms of helping them stand and push their bodies up, we'll also do that in the shallower part of the water on the steps. You know, one of my, you know, Cohen, he's a baby with spina bifida, flexibility, and in the legs for sure, working on flexing and extending that knee, and also the ankles. It's very, very minimal flexibility. He's not going to be able to move too much unless we, you know, repetitively try to, in the warm water, work that flexibility. So same thing, I'm working on bending his knees, working on separating and bringing his legs together. With physical therapists that he sees, they're saying, oh, well, Lucas is actually, Cohen's actually, moving his legs a lot more fluidly and freely, and that's all positive things. It really makes a difference. I mean, it does take some time, but it really does make a difference, even small movements, because that turns into a huge victory for any population that we work with at Beyond.
So this must kind of be, I guess, I hope I say it in the right way, new information that we didn't know a long time ago about spinal cord injuries and these sorts of things in terms of people being able to see improvement if they work on it?
Well, I wouldn't say it's necessarily new. I know it needs to be researched more.
Okay.
I mean, the opportunity for growth is huge in the research. For example, with the spinal cord injury client, we have a study going on in I think Cali or Arizona. They're doing a Phoenix, which is a mechanized walking suit. So it's like a Locomat, which is two really big metal legs essentially, and it helps people that have little and limited spasticity in their legs walk for them. So it's something that you can take portably with you. So for people who are paralyzed from the waist down that are not locking out regularly, that would be available for them. So there are advances in technology that can help. In terms of training protocols, it goes back to that research at MTSU. We are doing more and more research to see what works best for which population based on the severity of the injury. So we're moving up. So
research, moving up, and just working with people right where they are and seeing how much we can get them to improve. I want to thank you, Lyle, for coming and for sharing, and just thank you for all that you're doing. It's wonderful. It's been good to talk with you today. I know that today has been an inspiration for you. With God, absolutely nothing is impossible as we walk in faith and trust Him. We're out of time. We got to go, but we say goodbye and God bless you.
When I truly turned my heart to the Lord, He took every sin I ever did away from me.
God really is your other half. God, He's the only person who can really, fill those holes and cracks in your heart that you're so wanting someone to fill.
It's no good to have a big dream if you're not putting yourself in motion to go after that.
The blood of Christ is the only cure. It gets down to the root of every single thing that ails us. There's not an addiction, there's not a generational curse, there's not any root of sin. There's nothing that the blood of Jesus cannot cleanse.
Visit monicaschmelter.com to schedule Monica to speak at your event.
For more information on a guest, visit our website, ctntv.org.
Join the Bridges community on Facebook. Visit Facebook and search for Bridges with Monica. We would love to connect with you.